Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. Everybody looks great. Everybody looks like they've been rested. Hopefully everybody had a good breakfast and everybody's ready to learn. Now, if you're not, that's okay, because you know what? I've got a little bit of a warm-up for everybody. We're going to do some vocabulary words, and they're family vocabulary words, words that you already know, words that you're familiar with. So I'm going to pass them out, and we're going to read them together. And I also have pens, pencils, whatever you would like if you want to draw. If something comes to your mind that you want to jot down, then this is our little brain warm-up for the day, okay? So the first word is sister. Now, a lot of people know what sister means. So does anybody know what sister means? Right, exactly. Like sister is your sibling, a girl that you live with, right? Your mother. People know what mother means. Even if you don't have a mother, there's so many different kinds of families, but you have a mother figure. And mother figure means somebody who takes care of you, right? Somebody who feeds you, somebody who makes sure you have a home, somebody who takes you to school, somebody who picks you up from school, who talks to you about your day. And then the next one is father. So I think everybody knows what father means, but does anybody want to offer? That's a good, I like that. Those are good words. Father means somebody who plays catch with you, somebody who takes you to games, even somebody who could watch TV with you, somebody to hang out with, somebody who also takes care of you, who also makes sure that you have food, that you get fed, that you get to do fun things as well, right? Okay, our next word is friend. So does anybody know what friend means? I know everybody's got a friend, right? That's right. I love those description words. Those are good words. Friend means somebody that you can trust, right? That's a good word. I love that word. Trust is a good word. Now, what about best friend? Because I know we've all got friends, but is there somebody that you consider a best friend? Right? Best friend. You have your friends, but then you have your best friend, somebody that you absolutely love, somebody that just makes you feel really good about yourself, right? Somebody who's always there for you. So now, I think we've got our brains working a little bit, and this brings us to what we're going to learn. We're going to be reading a book called A Boy Called Pat. And even if you haven't read it before, that's perfect. I love that we haven't read it before, because you know what? We're going to read it in this class and we're going to read it together. So we're going to use this book to help us learn some description words, because just like we were describing our family and what a mother is, what a sister is, what a best friend is, we want to learn some more words that we can use to describe so that we can paint a picture for people. We want to paint a picture. Even if you draw your description, you're still drawing with what am I trying to say?
Groups.
Yeah, with more description, right? We want people to really, really understand and see what it is that we're trying to describe. What it is, even if you're describing a person, and that's something that we're going to do with this book, with the characters, with the things that happen in the book. We're going to learn how to give a really, really good description of Pat, our main character, or his sister that we're going to learn about, his mother, what his mother does. We're going to learn words that are going to help us to really give a good description, so that even if you go home and you tell your mom, look, I'm reading this great book in class, you can describe this boy to your mom and she can be like, oh my God, I can picture this little boy in my mind. Or, oh, that was so interesting, you used such great descriptive words. Okay, so here is our first vocabulary list, and this is for chapter 1. I'm going to pass these out, and we're going to go over them, but you are going to see them and hear them in the book, because as you all have your own copy of the book, you're going to follow along with me as I read. But these are some words that we're going to be learning in this chapter. So go ahead and follow along as I read through them. Okay, the first one is flavor. Okay, so can everybody repeat that? Flavor. What do you think of what comes to mind when you think of flavor? You might think, I know when I think of a new word that I'm just learning, I think of, oh, I think I've heard that before, flavor. That means something tastes good, right? Or maybe something doesn't taste good. You don't like that flavor, you know? So the flavor, that definition, that means the recognizably different taste of a food or drink, right? You can think of a flavor for anything. Even chips have a different flavor. There's so many different flavors, right? Okay, our next word is creamy, and that means having a soft and smooth feel. So when you think of creamy, you think of maybe like whipped cream, and this is something that we're going to do as we read. We're going to think of all the words and the things that we're reading and we're learning, and we're going to kind of think of what we already know, because what we already know adds to the story, it adds to our understanding of the story, and it adds to us being able to be good descriptors, right? Okay, so the next word is bottom, and that means the lowest point or part of something. So when you think of bottom, like the bottom of a box, you know, all the way at the bottom of your mom's purse, you know, something like that. As we're reading these words, I'm thinking to myself, what do I already know? And that's something that I want to encourage you guys to do as well. Think of what you already know, because a lot of these words you probably already do know, and that's great. But the words that we know, we're going to add them to being able to our ability to be descriptive, okay? So the next word on our list is sensitive, and that means easily or strongly affected, impressed, or hurt. So when I think of sensitive, I think of feelings, right? Sometimes somebody might be so sensitive that they might get their feelings hurt, or they're not sensitive so they don't get their feelings hurt very easily. I know we all know people that are kind of both ways, right? All right, our next word is hearing, and that means the sense which makes it possible for a person to be aware of sounds. So when you think of hearing, what could you possibly think that could be, right? Hearing, maybe you hear the birds outside when you're outside playing. Maybe you hear the music when you're playing a video game at home. Those are things that you're using this sense for, right? And here's an interesting word. The next one is unusual. That means it does not happen very often. It's not common. Unusual, that might be a tricky word, because I don't think we really see that. I don't see that too often in my reading, so we're going to see that together as we read this book. The next word is outstanding, and I know you guys have heard this word before. Outstanding means extremely good or impressive. Outstanding, you know, something great, something wonderful. All right, the next word is muffling. Muffling means make a sound quieter. Now, when you think of muffling, I think of earmuffs, right? Because muffle, that's what I think of in my head is muffling, because when you have earmuffs on, like in the snow, when it's cold, that it muffles the sound a little bit. It means it makes the sound, you can't hear it as loud, right? All right, the next word is interesting. Excuse me. Interesting. That means holding or catching attention, engaging or exciting. So when I think of interesting, I think of, oh, I really liked that movie. That movie was so interesting. It held my attention. There was so much action, you know, just something that really, really appeals to you. Something that you find good or fun. That's something interesting. All right, the next one is nervous. Having or showing feelings of being worried or afraid of what might happen. Now, this word might be a little difficult, because I know you may feel nervous, but you may not understand the word or understand the feeling. That's what nervous means. Having or showing feelings of being worried or afraid about something. You could be nervous about going to a new school. You could be nervous about if you're in the school play and you're nervous about doing a part, or you're nervous about getting a part if you want to be in a play. All right, and our last word is excited. And excited means very enthusiastic, having an increased activity level. Now, I'm excited to read this book. So let's get on with it, all right, guys? So let's see. First, to introduce our book, I've got a little video for us to watch, okay?
A boy called Van by author Elena Arnold. A Boy Called Bat is a fiction book and was published in 2017 by the HarperCollins Publishing Company. The illustrations in the book are by Charles Santoso. This is Bat. His real name is Bigsby Alexander Tam. He is in the 4th grade and has autism. Bat is a really smart young boy, but he has trouble making relationships with people sometimes. He has an older sister named Janie, a mother and a father. Bat's life begins to change. His mother brings home a baby skunk. Bat's mother is a veterinarian and decides to bring home the orphan baby skunk to bottle feed it. Bat begins to feel a bond with the baby skunk and decides to take care of it himself. He and Janie even named him Thor. His mother gives him 1 month to take care of it before she has to take him back. While Bat builds a connection with the skunk, it also allows him to make relationships with others at school, one specific boy named Israel. Together, the two form a bond, and Bat decides he wants to email a skunk expert to see if he could convince his mother to keep the skunk as a pet. What does the email say? Will Bat be able to keep Thor as a pet? Well, keep reading to find out more.
Okay, what did you guys think? Does that make the book sound interesting? I think it sounds interesting. And that's one reason why I picked it, because I think you guys would really like it. Because, I know that a lot of my students really love animals. So, let's read chapter 1. Okay? Alright. So everybody, take a minute, stretch, shift a little, get comfortable. Alright. Here we go. Following along with me, everybody who has their books open, chapter 1, I'm on page 1, right? It says chapter 1 after school. Here we go. So Bigsby Alexander Tam stared into the refrigerator trying to decide what to eat. He knew that the longer he took, the more energy he was wasting. And Bigsby Alexander Tam did not like to waste energy. But he also didn't like to eat leftovers or cheese that had to be sliced, or any of the yogurt flavors in the fridge. Bat, close the refrigerator door, yelled his sister Janie from the kitchen table where she sat cutting out pictures from a pile of old magazines. Janie, he was sure, had eaten all the lemon and vanilla yogurts, and she knew that he only liked the creamy ones, not the fruit on the bottom kind. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Did you guys catch that word? Our vocabulary word, creamy. He used that to describe the yogurt, that's what he likes about the yogurt, how creamy it is, right? Alright, so Bat was what almost everyone called Bigsby Alexander Tam, for a couple of reasons. First, the initials of his name, B, A, and T, spelled Bat. But there may be other reasons. Bat's sensitive hearing, for one. He didn't like loud sounds. What was so unusual about that? And if Janie's old earmuffs happened to make an outstanding muffling device, was it that funny that he liked to wear them? Did you guys catch those vocabulary words? That makes sense now, right? Because he used the earmuffs to muffle. I like that. There was also the way he sometimes flapped his hands when he was nervous or excited or thinking about something interesting. Some of the kids at school seemed to think that was hilarious. And of course, bats have wings, which they flap. So between the initials and the earmuffs and the hand flapping, the nickname had stuck. Alright, so does anybody know anybody that they call by a nickname? Or maybe your parents call you by a nickname. I know sometimes if you have your dad's name, your parents might call you JR. That's a nickname, right? Okay. And truthfully, Bat didn't mind. Animals were his very favorite thing, better than vanilla yogurt. So I know you're looking at it in your book, but here's the picture of Bat looking in the refrigerator. He's very disappointed that there's no yogurts of his favorite flavor. That happened to you? It's definitely happened to me. Janie, did you eat all the vanillas? Not all of them, Janie answered. She curved the scissors around the bent arm of the boy she was cutting out. I saw you eat at least 2 or 3 of them. Did you eat the last vanilla? Yes, said Janie, and with a final snip she freed the shiny paper boy. It was delicious. And of course it was delicious. All the vanillas were delicious. Well, said Bat, closing the refrigerator door a little harder than he needed to, now there's nothing to eat. I wouldn't say there's nothing to eat, teased Janie. She knew she wasn't supposed to tease him. Well, I would, said Bat. Nothing I want to eat. Then you must not be very hungry. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, after Mom drove Bat home from school, she had to go back to work for a couple more hours. It was Janie's job to watch Bat. Thursdays were the hardest, and today was a Thursday. Make me a snack, Bat demanded. Make me a snack what? Make me a snack now. No, said Janie. Make me a snack, please. I don't have to say please, said Bat. Making me an after-school snack is part of your job. You don't have to say please to someone who has to do their job. You do if you want them to do it well, said Janie. But she pushed back the magazines and stood up. Bat felt his elbows beginning to bend. He felt his hands getting ready to flap. I'm hungry, he said again. His voice sounded higher. Okay, said Janie. Don't fly away. I'll fix you a peanut butter and jelly. Without the crusts, Bat said. He felt better already. That's chapter 1. Now, something that I wanted to point out is when Janie says to Bat, don't fly away. What do you think that means? You know how he starts to flap his hands like a bat for bat's wings? Remember he said, oh, that's what he does when he gets anxious or nervous. Well, she didn't want him to fly away. That's what we call a figure of speech, something that means you say it, but it means something a little bit different. Don't fly away. He clearly can't fly because he's a boy, but he's getting so excited that he's starting to flutter. Okay? So now that we've read chapter 1, I want you to grab from our supplies a highlighter or a pencil or a pen, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the picture of Bat, the one that was in the first chapter, right? The one of Bat staring so sadly into what he thinks is the empty refrigerator. Okay, so go ahead and grab one of your writing utensils, and I want you, from our vocabulary list, to highlight, circle, box, underline 2 or 3 of these words that you think would be very good descriptive words to describe this picture. Okay? And as you do that, I'm going to walk around and I'm going to see how everybody's doing. So at this point, I would be walking around and, monitoring the students, saying some of the words again if they need to, or sounding them out for them, reminding them of the meaning. Sorry. So yeah, and then after that, we'll get back together as a class, and everybody will be able to show their papers. We have all the colors in the room, the underlining, the boxing, so everybody can see. And then I'll ask for some volunteers who want to describe the picture. Okay? All right. Now, getting back to the class, we're going to read chapter 2. And I'm going to pass out our chapter 2 vocabulary list. Okay, so let's go over our list. The first word is comfortable. Comfortable means being at ease, relaxed. When I think of comfortable, I think of, sitting on the couch watching my favorite TV show. I get myself in a nice spot where I'm very comfortable. All right, the next word is miscellaneous. Now this one is a big word, miscellaneous. But that means a mixture of various things that are not necessarily connected with each other. So miscellaneous means you could have your toys, you can group them. I have my trucks over here, I have my dolls over here, I have my books over here. But a miscellaneous pile could have a truck, a doll, and a book, right? That's a miscellaneous. That's things that don't go together, but they are together, right? Uncomfortable is another word. It means feeling unease or awkwardness. Now, uncomfortable, the that UN in front of comfortable tells us that it's the opposite of comfortable, right? So uncomfortable means maybe you're having to go to a special event and you're wearing a suit with a tie and feel like you're choking because you don't wear such tight clothes, or maybe your mom just bought you some new shoes but they're the wrong size, so you try to put your foot in them but they're too tight. That's uncomfortable, right? Okay, so we have a neater. Neater means arranged in an orderly, tidy way. So, in class where I have all of our binders, everything is stacked neatly. You have your tables where everything has its place, your markers, your pencils, your crayons, your papers, everything has a place. That's what neat means. Okay, so we have veterinarian. Now some of you, even though this is a very big word, you may know this word. Veterinarian means a person who is trained to give medical care and treatment to animals. So that's what we're going to find out in this chapter. That's what Bat's mom is. She's a veterinarian. She takes care of animals. Okay, the next one is patient. Patient is a person or animal receiving medical treatment. And patients are what veterinarians see. Those are the animals that the veterinarians help. Those are the patients. So screaming. Screaming is giving a long, loud, piercing cry or cries. When I think of screaming, I think of maybe a baby crying, like maybe my little sister or my little brother who's crying and he's just screaming his head off because he's hungry. He wants a bottle. Okay, so now that we're going to do this, I'm going to click on over. Okay, so now we're going to read chapter 2. Okay, everybody ready? Follow along in your book. I know you guys all have your books. We're on page 6. It says chapter 2, Bat's Cave. All right, after finishing his snack, Bat went to his room. Bat's room was his favorite place in the whole world. In his room, Bat felt completely comfortable. Catch that vocabulary word, comfortable. In his room, that's all of his things, right? Of course you would feel comfortable in your room. So here he knew where everything was. If something was in the wrong place, it was his own fault, because no one messed with his room but him. In the rest of their small house, Bat's mom and sister knew to put anything that needed to go to Bat's room in one of 3 baskets: his clean laundry basket, his book basket, and his miscellaneous stuff basket. Now, this is our vocabulary word, but Bat is going to go ahead and he's going to explain it to us right now. So miscellaneous was a great word and one of Bat's favorite words. It meant all the extra stuff. So the miscellaneous stuff basket could have almost anything, except clean laundry and books. When the baskets were full, Mom placed them in the hallway outside Bat's door. He took them into his room and unloaded them himself. Once Mom had tried to reorganize his dresser drawers because she thought he could use some help. After, when he got so upset he couldn't even speak, she said, "I'm sorry, Bat, but your drawers are just a mess. Your hat's mixed in with your pants and sweaters. I don't know how you find anything." But the drawers weren't a mess. Not at all. If Mom had looked more closely, she would have seen that his knit caps were in with his long pants and his sweaters, because he always wore those things together on cold days. Shorts and t-shirts were in another drawer because he wore those things together on warm days. But what about this drawer? Mom had asked, pulling open the bottom right drawer, which held a pair of pants, a wool sweater, and 2 shirts. "Those are the things I never wear," Bat told her when he finally calmed down, "because they're itchy and uncomfortable." So now, uncomfortable, that's one of our vocabulary words, right? So he didn't wear those clothes because he didn't like the way they felt. They made him feel uncomfortable because they were itchy. I'm sure we've all had that feeling before, right? Then Mom cut the tags out of the t-shirts and Bat moved them to the warm days drawer. After that, Mom left him to his own devices, as she liked to say. So that's another figure of speech, right? Left him to his own devices. What do you think that means? If I think about that, I think that, that kind of means leave them alone. That they, if you're left to your own devices, that everybody leaves you alone and lets you do your thing, right? So once in his room, Bat closed the door. There was a sign on the outside that said, "Please knock." Janie had written it for him because her writing was much neater than his. Janie could do all the hand things better than Bat. Write things, cut things out, smooth peanut butter on bread. The clock told Bat that Mom would be home in 46 minutes. Mom was a veterinarian, which was what Bat intended to be too, one day. Mostly she treated cats and dogs, but sometimes she had unusual patients. Once she had taken a BB pellet out of the wing of a hawk. The pellet had broken one of the bones and Mom had done surgery to mend it. She brought home x-rays to show Bat. "Why would anyone shoot a hawk?" Bat had asked. "Do they think they were going to eat it?" "No," Mom said. "Sometimes people do stupid things." She had been very angry about the hawk, angrier even than when Bat and Janie got into a loud screaming fight. Seeing the x-ray of the hawk's broken wing made Bat angry too. But his room always made him feel better. It had a roll-down bamboo window shade and a fine closet full of shelves and pull-out trundle in case someday a friend came to spend the night. It had a ceiling fan and a reading lamp and a rug with a picture of a train printed on it. Bat felt like looking through his animal encyclopedia, which he often did after school. So he pulled it down from the bookshelf and dropped comfortably onto his beanbag. His stomach was full of sandwich, and Mr. Grayson hadn't assigned any homework. For this moment at least, Bat felt perfectly content. All right, that's our chapter 2. So now, you remember this picture from our chapter 2 book, right? This is Bat in his bat cave. He's sitting on his comfortable beanbag chair reading his encyclopedia. So from your chapter 2 descriptive vocabulary list, I want you to take your marker, different colored highlighter, pencil, pen, whatever you want, circle, box, underline, words that you think would help you describe this picture of Bat. Okay? So I will do the same thing, go around and help all the students out. Okay, so once everybody has done that, we've come back together and we've discussed things, the students have had a chance to share, comment on things, then our next assignment is actually going to be a work on your own assignment. And this is called a favorite room. I have that for the board as well. So this is our worksheet that we're going to do, and we're going to do this independently. So as I pass these guys out, now I'm going to read the directions and you follow along. And this worksheet is called a favorite room. Bat's room was his favorite place in the whole world. In his room, Bat felt completely comfortable. The directions for this worksheet are: write about, draw, photograph a room where you are completely comfortable. Now here we see that Bat's in his bat cave, right? He's in his room because that's where he's most comfortable. But that doesn't necessarily have to be where you're comfortable. It can be in your living room. It can even be in your kitchen, especially if that's the place, like if you like to cook, you like to do things like that. Your kitchen might be the place you're most comfortable, your parents' room, or maybe even a room in somebody else's house. Or it doesn't even have to be a room. Maybe you're more comfortable in the park, out in nature. I just want you to think about our vocabulary lists. You have them all in front of you. I have them on the board. I'm going to put them on the board as well. And I want you to use your descriptive words that we've learned. I want you to be able to spell them correctly. Use your lists. You have them available for you. I want you to do your best to do that. And I'll be walking around the room to help you guys out. Okay. So let's get started. Any questions? Any comments, concerns? I'm going to be around the room to help you out, okay? So grab your favorite writing utensil. I have markers. I have everything you need to draw, write. Go ahead. Independent time. Go for it.